Hey everyone, welcome back. So guess what? We're back in the car. I know last week we mixed it up for you guys. We recorded inside the house that we don't own yet, but we're going to own it tomorrow.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Closing day.
And right now we're going to pick up some food for dinner because we pick up a lot these days because we don't really have like that much of a kitchen. And we decided we're going to record a video about a question that was on our little question script from last time, but that we decided not to do because we had too much to say about it. And that question is, what is the hardest part about raising a blended family that nobody tells you about? And just to give you all a little background, if you're new to our channel, so we have 3 kids. Two are our older kids are 9 and 8, boy, girl, and they're my kids from a prior marriage. Their mom unfortunately passed away, and that was 7 years ago now. And this lovely lady, I tricked her into marrying me, and we now have a baby of our own. He's not really a baby anymore. He's two years. How many months is he?
I gave up on the months thing. He's almost about 2.5 though.
Yeah. So he's you're supposed to know it's like 28 months.
I do not. I'm not one of those moms. Once he hit 2, I lost track. Okay.
So anyway, so we're going to talk about the hardest part of raising a blended family that nobody told us about. And so, as you know, Z stepped in and she became the bonus mom for my 2 kids.
Well, not our.
Well, now there are 2 kids.
Yes.
She adopted them
and this
in
is one of the
2023.
things, yes.
Oh yeah, and this is actually one of the things we're going to talk about. So okay, so let's start with you. What would you say is the hardest thing for you about being a blended family?
Wording. So present now, our kids are our kids. My kids are my kids. I have 3 kiddos. But I feel like when sometimes to explain or for individuals to understand family dynamics, it has to be stepmom. I prefer actually bonus mom. And I think you sometimes inadvertently will say my kiddos, but I'm like, I'm vested. I'm a part of their lives. I have the parental role too. So they are
Correct.
My kids too, although not my kids biologically. And so those little small things, I get it. It comes with it. But I think navigating how to convey what our exact relationship is and wording sometimes. For example, at schools, they want to know. The kids and Charles and I don't have the same last name. I didn't take on Charles' last name. It was just going to be too difficult because I was already working and certification and things like that.
And her last name is way cooler than mine anyway.
It is. It really is. And sometimes for, teachers try to understand, well, who's the actual parent who's on the birth certificate?
Ooh, that pissed me off.
Right? Do you want to tell about what happened with that?
Oh, yeah. Total tangent. At the public school, where you have to list your contacts, your emergency contacts, there is a place in their database for mother. And so I got contacted by them one time and about whether I wanted to update this information, and it still had my deceased wife as their mother. And I said, no, this is not right. Their mother is now my new wife. She's adopted these kids. And so I sent over the adoption paperwork, and they said, okay, well, we can't accept that. The only thing that we can accept is a revised birth certificate. Otherwise, we're not going to put her in the database as their mother. We're going to put her in the database as an other authorized party.
Yeah.
Oh, that pissed me off. And by the way, if you ever do an adoption, you probably have to separately go out and you have to contact the Department of Records or whatever, and you have to specifically request that they make a revised birth certificate.
So that's another aspect of being a blended family. But yes, the wording sometimes, or, you know, you're not the only one with ownership. So I think sometimes it's not always, you know, you're not doing it intentionally, but just understanding the verbiage that's used sometimes. I think I'm just like, it gets to me sometimes.
I'm gonna go get you a soda and I'll be right back. So you can do a monologue. Oh look, soda, it's magic.
No, you guys really should stay away from soda. This is a little bit of our vice every now and then. But let me ask you, Charles, what has been the most difficult thing about being in a blended family for you?
Ooh, so for me, and I apologize, I'll look over your direction just a second. For me, I would say it is having the people who were involved with the family before Z came along recognize properly our new family. There's little things that occur that just burn me up. Family members will talk about things like back before we moved. They would refer to things like your house, and they would refer to things like your car, and they would talk about things in terms of like assigning me ownership of these things, like not like they're our things, but like they are specifically my things. And
ooh, I have a question. Did they do that before in your previous marriage?
I think a little bit, but not to the extent.
And so why do you think it is to the extent that it is now?
You know, I like to assign all sorts of random reasons to it, like, oh, you know, they're like, to me, in my brain, what makes me angry is I feel like when they do stuff like that, they're not recognizing that we are now a unit. You know, instead of saying like, let's go to the car, let's go to the house, you know, go get the things. It's always like your stuff, your stuff, your stuff. And I know that like when sometimes when people talk about wanting to go do things with us, they talk about like me and the older kids, and sometimes they think about like Z and I think our new baby as like maybe like, oh, them too, you know, and it's oh, that's so irritating.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So irritating. Now again, it's not like that overt, but it's just like little micro things that I pick up on. And yeah, that irritates me so much, because I remember back to the beginning of our relationship, you had so much apprehension about coming into this situation because of the fact that everything was so established. And you know, like you said a lot of those things yourself at the beginning, like, oh, this is your house, and you know, but these things aren't my things; these are your things. And until you started to like until you started to assimilate in.
Well, I think that was also a big reason though why I wanted to move, because
Right.
I felt like moving would give us a fresh start.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm taking out of the equation, you know, extended family. Well, no, I'm actually even including extended family. I wanted it to be a fresh start where family, neighbors, everybody would see it more so. I'm sure they'll still probably do it, you know, knowing some of them, but where it would be a fresh start for us as a whole unit, including
Right.
our little one.
Right.
And so I think that was part of the reason, not only because, you know, I just wanted to move, I wanted a different home, but that was a major role. And I've communicated that to you, I think, before. I think for me, as far as coming into a blended family, because it was so established, and I moved to the city where Charles and our older babies resided, and a lot of their extended family was there. I think there was a lot of apprehension of how I would fit in. And this is before we had little man, before we were married. I remember our oldest child, who is now 9, I think it was his fourth birthday party. I think it was his 4th birthday party.
Yep, it was.
And this was the first time that I was going to meet Charles' now deceased wife, her parents. And I, like, what do you say to that? Hello, I'm the new girlfriend. I just didn't know what to expect, because I could understand if they were a little bit like, we don't know you. And it wasn't like that, right?
They're actually really cool.
Yes, there was actually a comment for us, and I think it was in the last video where someone asked, how do you get along with the kids' biological parents and their family? Great. There's no drama. They come over for Thanksgiving. We've actually vacationed in winter with
the biological grandparents.
With the biological grandparents. Yeah. We vacationed with the kids' maternal biological grandparents and their, what is that? Grand uncle?
Oh yeah. My deceased wife's dad's brother. There we go.
Yeah, and her uncles, I guess it is, messaged me happy birthday. Yeah. When we went there for vacation, they brought me a cake. So there's nothing to really
I know, they're pretty cool, right?
It's for being pretty awkward and coming in, adopting their grand kiddos. They've always given me hugs. How are ya? Send happy birthdays. It has been nothing but, I think a good experience. It hasn't been bad in any way that I can think of. And that's what we wanted, right? I think everyone can be mature and can gather around for the greater good of the kiddos. And that's what it has been. So I never felt any animosity or anything of that nature. Did you have any... Were you afraid for me?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was afraid for everybody. I thought, it's such a...
You were afraid for everybody?
Yeah, it's such an odd situation.
Yeah, it was. Have you encountered or have you experienced any other difficulties, you think, with us blending our lives and... together?
There's just the odd one-off situations, like every once in a while we run into a person with the kids, who knew the family before, and that's always like, drinking from a fire hose for that.
Who knew you before?
Who knew me before?
Yeah.
That's always like drinking from a fire hose. Let me catch you up in 10 seconds.
Yeah. And what's interesting, when I first, when we got married and things of that nature, and we were thinking about moving, my thought process was to go to a city that was going to be a fresh start for all of us, right? Because like I said, I moved to where Charles and the older kiddos were, and I think I'm not mad at me staying here because I planted roots now in the city that we're in, but I think part of me, I want to go somewhere where we can just really start anew. Do you understand where I'm coming from with that? It can be odd being in the same city where you had a whole life, right? You had friends, the kids were in school. I think that can be a lot. It's gotten better because I think now everyone knows our family and, things of that nature. But I think those first few years, I think was a little bit rough, and that's why I was really like, let's get out of here. I was so adamant in regards to that. Now it's better. I think it's definitely better, but I feel like that might be, if I was to give advice to someone they're blending families, especially for someone who's not from an area like myself. I don't know if you don't have to, I would say for you and your partner, if you could, if it's reasonable, to move to a new city.
Yes.
For both of you, for a fresh start.
Yes.
Right? Difficult for a lot of people. For us, it wasn't a reasonable option, right? Thinking about the older kiddos and them in school and jobs and things of that nature. It just wasn't a reasonable option for us. And it still worked out okay for us. But I think that would make the transition a lot easier if you just go to a city that is new for both of you.
Yeah, and especially if you're coming out of a situation where a spouse deceased or something like that, the best thing I feel like you could ever do is move, start over, hit the reset button.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be dealing with like the remnants and aftershocks of things around, you know, where you were for forever.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
So, is that all we got to say about that today?
I think so.
That's a great transition.
Yeah. And I think next week, and you let me know what you think, I think we should do part 2 of our Q&A. I think it's fun for us to kind of walk down memory lane and get each other's perspectives about certain things with our relationship. So look out for that, part 2 of the Q&A of getting to know Charles and I. But before you guys go, remember to like and subscribe down below. And next time you come on here, we will be in a new home.
Yes.
Talk to you guys later.
Hey, leave your comments below. If you have a question you want us to answer and address in our videos, leave it below.